Tom, are you okay?
I lost her.
Her?
She was going to be this epic trilogy-worthy character. I was going to be the hottest writer in Hollywood. But I can't get past Act 1.
You need some writers group therapy. Hello and welcome to Writers Group Therapy.
I'm Tom.
And I'm Roshni. We're writers helping writers. Are you ready for your session? The doctors are in. So Tom, I think it's about that time of year where we do another episode about Star Wars or something Star Wars
We
adjacent.
haven't done that in a while, huh?
I know, right? But we were talking about Star Wars recently because we both just saw Mary Poppins Returns because they're
She's
so
back.
related. They're so
Yeah.
related, right? But one of the things that really struck me about that, and then trust me, guys, we'll get to Star Wars eventually, is beat by beat, it's pretty much the original movie.
It really was. I enjoyed the movie. It had, one of the big complaints I went with my parents, they were upset they didn't have the same songs in it. They almost
Oh
wanted to
no!
see they wanted to see the same movie practically,
Mm-hmm.
but they almost did, but with new songs. And other than that, though, literally almost beat per beat, it was the same story as the original,
Mm-hmm.
just with characters changed. Instead of chimney
Yeah.
sweeps, it was lamplighters and what have you.
Mm-hmm. But it's kind of the same thing because I remember people were talking. They're like, "Oh no, not another remake," and I'm like, "No, this is a sequel." And yet the sequel feels kind of like a remake,
It's like
just
they
like
started with the same script almost.
pretty
Yeah,
much, yeah, just like Star Wars: The Force Awakens kind of felt like a remake of A New Hope. Hey guys, we tied it back into Star Wars. But
yeah.
seriously, what is the deal with Hollywood doing that? If you're going to make a sequel, shouldn't you make a true sequel instead of like a sort of remake sequel, something or another?
I think as a fan of all these franchises, I love the sci-fi ones. I think I see the repeated. I guess you call it the method the MO
Modus
yeah,
operandi.
thank you, the modus operandi. They kind of want to do what works, I guess, is they want to start from a place that they know was successful and then work from there. And I mean, for better or worse, I guess. And as a fan, you go to these movies and you want to enjoy them, and I enjoyed most of them, in my first experience with them. But on retrospective, more in depth look, you kind of feel cheated. You're like, well, they really didn't give you that much anything new. In
Hmm.
fact, this is kind of interesting. I just saw Mortal Engines with a friend of mine,
Oh,
the Peter Jackson film about the cities that are like on tank treads that go around eating other tinier cities.
yeah.
And my friend who took me to the movie because it was a screening, he kept elbowing me and kept pointing out plot points of that movie that were just like Star Wars. It was almost like because a spoiler alert. Don't listen if you want to see Immortal Engines. At the end, one of the heroes flies a flying ship, not a spaceship, into the giant London uh, tank city, like either Luke or the Millennium Falcon fly into the Death Star in those movies
Hmm.
and blows it up. So it was a little too. He kept elbowing me and go, "Oh, the end," and then and the hero's father was the villain, that kind of thing. It was just like we were watching Star Wars all over again. It's like, does anybody know that they just copied Star Wars with this?
But that was not a sequel to Star Wars.
No,
So,
it wasn't like they made the sequel of the movie, but it was funny because we've been talking about this
mhm.
idea of these sequels, and has Hollywood literally run out of ideas that they're remaking classic movies as new movies, but in different settings. Just literally the plot points line up. It was so bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, I get that they might be trying to play off the nostalgia factor because a lot of these that we're pointing out, it's been 5, 10, whatever years. And one of the debates we had off air was I think you said, well, yeah, people want the nostalgia factor. They want to, something new for their children to love and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, but Mary Poppins and Star Wars, you can watch those anytime. And they play them on
Right.
TV all the time, and you grow up watching them. So it's not that hard to go find the original.
Right, and I think everyone I've spoke to about Mary Poppins Returns felt that the original was just as good as the remake or the sequel.
Freudian slip, you called it a remake right there.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like a remake. but they felt that they liked the original one better. I think, and I felt like, the new one had these amazing visual effects, and and great songs and stuff, but it felt like they were trying really hard to, just like improve on the original movie rather than making a new movie. And it was like at the point when they got to the Lamplighters doing their song and dance, I'm like, okay, we've gotten to the part of the chimney sweeps now.
Yep.
And it kept hitting me on the head with these, beats, these the beats of the story,
Or like
and it
the
was a little,
upside down room with
yeah.
I forget, is it Meryl Streep's character? Same thing,
Hmm.
like the upside down tea
The
party.
flying tea party, yeah, the
Yeah.
floating tea party. And then, and everyone was expecting the, live action slash animation mix up. We all, because of that was ground that here's the thing, that was groundbreaking when Disney did it, in the original Mary Poppins movie. And I think now we're so accustomed to all these visual effects and all these fancy things that it doesn't have the same magic that it did back then, because it was really truly innovative when they did it originally.
Hmm.
And now it's like we expect that. And like if they didn't do that, then we'd be like, well, what are they, why didn't they do that? So it's kind of like we're kind of like caught in the middle between give the fans what they want and give them something they're not expecting so that it's more interesting. And I think lately we've been getting a little bit more of give the fans what they want. In fact, I've often said with the Star Trek franchise, with the reboots, with the Chris Pine, where they've kind of, it's an alternate timeline, so it's not a remake. They're new stories, but it's an alternate timeline, but they still keep hitting a lot of the same beats. They did the
Hmm.
one movie with Benjamin Cumberbatch where he played
Benjamin Cumberbatch?
Khan. What's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict. Sorry, Benedict. I apologize, Benedict.
He's got like the most unusual name in Hollywood, and I'm like,
Benedict.
Benjamin? Anyway,
Benedict Cumberbatch.
sorry, back up because that was really funny to me. Go on. What were you saying?
So in the one of the J.J. Abrams new timeline Star Trek movies, uh, Benedict Cumberbatch played the classic character of Khan. So
Hmm.
here they are, they're bringing back something from Star Trek 2 from the old original series of movies. It was a new story, but it's kind of like they're pandering to the fans, like, oh, here's something so you'll like it, even though
Hmm.
most people didn't, and the fans were almost begging them not to do it as leaks came out that that's what it was going to be, and they kept it all secret up until the movie came out, and then it was like, okay, we weren't surprised because we knew you were going to do that. And it just like in the Star Wars movies, now we've had 3 Death Stars blow up almost by the same exact,
Yeah.
issue. There's a design flaw there somebody really needs to fix.
And and it's always, of course, it has to be the hero. I'm kind of like, I want some random janitor to blow up the Death Star now, Like, I mean, seriously, does it have to be, the chosen one? Can it just be some random guy walking by? Because it's a little too predictable. But yeah, you're right. The dark side definitely needs new engineers or something. But it kind of makes me wonder, is it that Hollywood thinks it's super bankable to be nostalgic, or do they just not trust the audience?
I think it's part of it, both of it. We were talking about the Fast and Furious franchise. I can't tell those movies apart. There's what, been 8 now, I
I
think.
don't even know. They're
Yeah.
probably going to be doing it till they're 60.
The only one that ever stands out is Tokyo Drift because they went to Japan, and it's also often, unless you like drifting in your car, most people think it was the worst one, so it stands out. But otherwise, all the other movies, I couldn't tell you what plot was in each of them. I just know there's cars racing around and doing crazy stunts. But somewhere along the line, I guess there has to be a story in there.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you ask me what Mary Poppins Returns was about, and I liked it. I watched it and I thought it was charming. But yeah, something again with the banks. Banks are evil.
Hmm.
Imagination. Blah blah blah. You
And then they
know.
hit you with a couple, cameos that were super cool, and everyone got all ooh eye in the audience, and they brought
Mhm.
back, Dick Van Dyke. I almost said Dick Van
Mhm.
Patten. Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, you really gotta you gotta look at your IMDb here.
Yeah.
And I will say, okay, this is not in the this is a little off topic. I was actually really annoyed as far as like the writing goes. This is the one thing I did not like about Mary Poppins Returns. I love Angela Lansbury, but I thought it was really weird to introduce a new character right at the end of the movie that has
It
this.
it was kind of a cameo, I guess. A big
It was a
cameo.
very it was a very big cameo, but it just felt weird because, like, she's got this big song and dance number, and she totally knows who Mary is and, like, all this stuff, and I'm like, "I feel like she should be more relevant earlier in the plot, you know? What's going
I
on?"
just kept hearing Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast. So
Oh, I think she's a fabulous actress, so I don't
oh,
mind,
she's
like,
wonderful.
but I just thought it was weird to have such a big thing right at the end. Because even "Let's Go Fly a Kite" was not. It was like, what, less than a minute, I think. They sing the song, they fly the kite, and Mary leaves. It wasn't
Mhm.
like a big, big number compared to what else was in the movie. So that's why I was just like, what are they doing? But anyway,
Yeah, so, uh, what are we gonna do? Try to be more original, I guess. What would you guys do differently to make these movies stand out as their own unique stories?
and how would you make a sequel be a true sequel instead of just beat by beat the original? Or do you like that? Let us know at writersgrouptherapy.com. You can also find us on Twitter at WGTherapy. And if you like what you hear, subscribe and share it with your friends. We'll see you next week.